Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm excited to bring to you today my second speech of the year. And it's also part of the TM 101 series that Ruby is coordinating for our club. And today's topic is Bring Your Online Meetings to Life. So as I was preparing for this speech, I was thinking about all the different public speakers that I've encountered and how this topic would be relevant for each one of them. So if I did a horizontal scale, I'd have motivational, inspirational speakers. Think of Dalai Lama, Pope, spiritual leaders. I'd have instructional or educational speakers, those who focus on imparting training. Think of any TED Talk speakers that you've listened to. And I've got rabble-rousers, demagogues. Think of any politician you dislike. And then finally, I've got this friendly neighborhood pothead who likes to impart wisdom unsolicited. Now, jokes apart, this topic is particularly relevant to this group right here, instructional educational. Because what they're trying to see is that two-way communication, collaboration, interaction that becomes much more relevant, particularly in today's world. So, apart from that group of speakers, I know many of us find ourselves in that situation, imparting training, doing online meetings. So I hope this discussion will help each one of us. And I have really 3 agenda items that I think will help each one of us conduct online meetings much more efficiently, effectively, and engage, collaborate with the team members. Coming back to the 3 key elements. The best practices of conventional meeting, that really doesn't go away. Before you birth an online meeting and pump some life into it, the basics have to be incorporated. The best practices, meeting agenda needs to go out. Great example is the agenda of our club. We know who's doing what, at what time, and who's going to coordinate some of these activities as well. It goes out on time. Well-stated objective. We know who is conducting what portion, and they all come up over here. They get a chance to discuss it. We have well-planned meeting with the time communicated well in advance. There's a meeting room to be scheduled, do that in advance. Have invites sent out to all of the participants that need to participate and coordinate that well in advance. Finally, there is the time management aspect. Think of everything that happens in this room. There's a time for every activity, and that should be followed to conduct any efficient meeting. And then facilitate participation, which again happens over here. You sometimes get voluntold if you want to engage. And then finally, there is always that actions and follow-up section that doesn't go away. Online meeting, conventional meeting, all of this is basics. Then the second step are all of those nuances related to online meetings. And I found this really cool infographics, which is part of Toastmasters International Series. There's a lot of stuff going on over here, but if I were to summarize all of this, there's really 3 sections you gotta be thinking of. The technological aspect or the technology aspect, which means, is my internet connection working? Is my camera doing okay? Is my microphone working? Is the platform that I'm choosing, Zoom, Teams, you name it, am I familiar with it? Is my audience familiar with it? Am I introducing something totally new to them? Making sure all of that is buttoned up. The second aspect is the staging aspect. Do I have the room set up appropriately? Is the background appropriate enough? Is it gonna offend anybody? Is the lighting adequate? And another tip that I learned recently, particularly for interviews, the choice of your clothing. Avoid the tiny checks or stripes, very distracting, gives a headache to your audience, whoever is viewing you from the other side of the camera. Plain shirts that contrast with the background. Pick some of those wise choices. And then the third one is just do the normal things that you would do in any meeting. Don't talk over each other. Respect each other's opinions, let them speak. And then finally, don't multitask. It's offensive and it's disrespectful. And then, when you've done those 2 steps, I think the conditions are right to birth that meeting or to give some oomph to that meeting, adding life.
Yes.
And how do you do that? My opinion, it's 3 different ways one could do it. Introduce some icebreakers at the very beginning. Simple things. Have people introduce themselves in a time-bound manner, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Have them check in with one single word. How's the weather? One word to describe that. You promote engagement, you have everybody a chance to speak, even the ones that are generally not a speaker, don't want to opine unless called upon, get a chance to talk about something. And there are many other icebreaker activities that you could do. Depending on the audience, depending on the type of the meeting, you can get more serious or more fun. Then there are activities throughout the meeting that you could infuse that could make it fun. Particularly if you have a longer meeting, have breakout sessions, you could think of introducing things as 2 truths and a dare. Nothing wrong with bringing that on if the audience is right, if the meeting is appropriate. Have people share some anecdotes. Passing the parcel is a game I've played very recently, where in a virtual setting, you literally hold something, pretend it's a parcel, you name a person on the next window and say, Sage, you got it. Sage does the same to somebody else.
Oh.
It's something to infuse that life, bring some more engagement throughout the meeting.
Yeah.
The other activities are introduce some spirit days. Crazy hat day, crazy hair day wouldn't work for me, but might work for some others. You can also have happy hours. Have people bring in their own colas, drinks, whatever they prefer, and sit down after hours, 30 minutes, hang out. And then finally, I've got some technology suggestions that could be incorporated in meetings as well. Now, some very popular ones that many of us may have used in the past, Slido is an example. You can use it for conducting online polls, asking questions throughout the meeting. There are examples like Miro, which is a whiteboarding software. You can have a lot of people come in, collaborate, do some brainstorming together. And there are a few others like Prezzo, Visio, Kumo Space, which does a lot of gamification in meetings and have people go in, collaborate, have fun while doing all of these activities. With that, I guess the way I would like to conclude this is public speaking is not easy for the best of times. Now, particularly in today's Zeitgeist, where online meetings are a thing that are totally unavoidable, we could introduce some of these suggestions. Back to the basics. Have all of your best practices unignored, incorporated in your online meetings. Understand the nuances related to online meetings, and then take advantage of some of the technology and some of those interactive agenda items that can make your meetings much more fun, much more collaborative and engaging. Thank you.
Oh, that's-